Alright guys, we're back with another one, and this is my last word review of the LG Stylo 2 Plus. So here we have the Stylo 2. This is a mid-range, I would say, to budget phone, but it's definitely in the budget price range. This is a fantastic phone. Look at it. 5.7 inch 720p display, LG logo at the bottom, 5 megapixel camera at the top and the front. In the back here you have a ridged type of dark gray. It almost looks like a carbon fiber metal type look. Looks good. LG logo, speaker in the back, and you have volume up and down with the power button in the middle that doubles as your fingerprint scanner. 13 megapixel with flash. You have kind of shiny dark metal type looking sides all over top, but it's plastic. This whole phone is plastic and it feels pretty good. This is a Metro PCS variant of this phone, and this might have the best processor. This is rocking a quad-core processor. Now a quad-core processor with 2 gigs of RAM is gonna work. This is actually a good running device. Feels good. Now the LG Stylo 2, this is actually the Stylo 2 Plus. They come in different variants, so you're gonna have to check the specs for whichever company you go for, but all of them has been running. This also has the pen that can come in handy in a pinch when you need to jot down a number and stuff like that. This is an awesome phone for the mid-range price around $200 or even less. Now let's just talk about the screen. This is a 5.7 inch 720p display, and you know what, it doesn't look that bad. It gets bright enough. The colors are pretty dim and pretty much in low key. They're not vibrant. It's not a bright screen, but it's a screen that you can live with. Screen is a 720p 5.7 inch screen. This is definitely a phone that's in phablet territory, but even though it's a 5.7 inch screen, it's not a heavy phone. It's very light. Now you can see the viewing angles can get a little bit shoddy. The screen is not the most brightest screen. It doesn't have the highest pixel density. It's not bright. It's an adequate screen that can definitely get you by, but it's not a top-notch screen at all. So even though the screen is low res, for the price of the phone, I would say it's a definite pass. Not too long ago, most of the flagship phones was plastic, so this is definitely a pass. Now, let's go into the front-facing camera. Now, it's 5 megapixels, and 5 megapixels, you guys might be saying it's not good enough, but it is. It's 5 megapixels, and a lot of the flagship phones of today have a 5 megapixel camera in the front. So I would say this camera is a definite pass when it comes to front-facing cameras. Now, when we go into the back cameras, this is where the story changes a little bit. This is a very capable 13 megapixel back camera with a regular flash, but in most cases, most of us don't use flash anymore. This is a very good camera. I wouldn't say very good. I would say it's a good camera. It's definitely a pass. I would say 2.5 years ago, we would have been raving about this camera. But as of now, this is a very passable camera, especially for the price of this phone. 13 megapixels. We all know LG knows how to do cameras. And in low light, this is a very surprising camera. You're going to get good pictures in bright sunlight and so forth. The color is going to look pretty good. A nice smooth representation. I normally put all my pictures in HDR. So what I'm going to do, we're going to take a look at some pictures that I shot in HDR in night shots. When you're looking at those shots from this 13 megapixel camera, I'm sure you guys can say this is very passable. Now let's go into these volumes, the volume keys. The volume keys in the back. Now a lot of people are used to their volume buttons being about here. People are used to their power button maybe being at the bottom or being at the sides, either side, I don't know. But I've gotten used to LG with the buttons in the back. I have no problems with having the buttons in the back. You will find after 2 days, your finger automatically migrates there. And by having the fingerprint scanner, I think this is the best part of the phone to have a fingerprint scanner. It absolutely works every time. Look at that. Instantly. So I think this is a definite pass when it comes to the back camera. Now, when it comes to the back fingerprint scanner, I think this is a definite pass. So that brings us straight into this back bottom firing speaker. So let's take a listen of the sound that comes from this LG Stylo 2. Not too bad. Let's bring it up a little bit more. 75, 80, 100%. Alright, so not the loudest speaker out there, but it's a definite passable speaker, not too bad. A little muffled at the bottom, but other than that, it's a passable speaker. So, hearing the speaker from the back, you can definitely hear you got some decent quality sound coming from the back. Now, this brings us into battery life. You have a micro USB type of old type charging feature. It's not fast charging. Now, battery life coming out of this phone, I would honestly say if you work an 8-hour shift on your job with moderate use, you can definitely get a full shift use out of your phone. So from your commute, leaving your house to get into your job, using the phone on the job as we normally do, and then even going home, I would honestly say you'll probably have about 50% left of battery life on this phone. This phone, you can go a double shift at work with battery life to spare. I could say this is a 24-hour in battery life for this phone. If you're a heavy user, you can definitely count on a good 14, even 16 hours running with this phone, maybe even longer. The battery life on this phone is tremendous. If you're a lover of battery life, the LG Stylo 2 Plus is definitely the phone for you. When it comes to the added feature of this Stylus Pen in the back, LG called this the Stylus, and that's exactly what it is. This is an awesome device if you want to write down and jot down a number. This is awesome. And if you want to share it, you can easily share this out with no issues. This is an awesome feature. The LG Stylo 2 Plus is a phone that you can definitely run with. You can do some awesome multitasking. You can have 2 gigs of RAM was the basic years ago, a couple of years ago. 2 gigs of RAM was definitely enough. It's now that phones are going 3-4 gigs of RAM. So I'm happy LG went with 2 gigs of RAM on this device. It is definitely running. The processor's running. The OS is regular LG skin on top of Android, and it doesn't look too bad. As long as this phone gonna get updates on time, this phone is gonna pretty much last you around 2 years, because the average person keep their phone about 1 to 2 years. Great battery life. I mean, the phone is a phablet size phone with the stylus included. For the price, I'll call it a steal. So pretty much with that, that is my last word review on the LG Stylo 2 Plus from Metro PCS. It's a less than $200 phone. Can't beat that. We'll see you in the next one.